I have something to say. You need to stop everything you're doing right now. Because what just happened in the Dodgers camp is not just a roster move. This is an earthquake. This is a crisis. And somehow, in the middle of all this chaos, a hero quietly walked back through that door. Hello everyone. Today we are breaking down one of the most dramatic 48 hours the Los Angeles Dodgers have experienced this entire season. Injuries. Emergency trades. Minor league call-ups. And a return that the entire Dodger Stadium faithful has been waiting for. Buckle up. Because this story has everything. Let's start with the good news. Because this team desperately needed some. Tommy Edman is back. And not just back on the roster, back in the starting lineup, back in the field, back doing exactly what the Dodgers brought him here to do. When Edman stepped onto that field against the Pittsburgh Pirates, it wasn't just a player returning from injury. It was a lifeline being thrown to a team that was quietly starting to drown. Think about what Edman brings to this team. He is not a guy who shows up and quietly blends into the background. He is energy. He is grit. He is the kind of player who makes every single person in that dugout sit up straighter. When Edman is on the field, the Dodgers look like a different team. Faster. Sharper. More dangerous. His return against the Pirates was perfectly timed, because the Dodgers needed a spark. They needed someone to remind this roster what it looks like to play with full intensity. And Edman, from the moment he stepped back in, looked like a man who had been sitting in a room full of fire, just waiting for the door to open. Against Pittsburgh, he wasted absolutely no time making his presence felt. Every at-bat, every sprint, every defensive moment, it all carried the weight of someone who had been watching from the sidelines far too long and refused to waste a single second of being back. This is what great players do. They don't ease back in. They arrive. But while Edman's return brought joy, on the other side of the clubhouse, the mood was completely different. Will Smith's neck MRI results came back. And they were not good. Let's be honest about what this means. Will Smith is not just any player on this roster. He is the heartbeat of the Dodgers' catching situation. He is the guy behind the plate who manages the pitching staff, controls the game tempo, and provides a veteran presence that money cannot simply replace overnight. When Smith first reported discomfort, the initial hope inside the organization was that it would be minor. Rest. Recovery. Back in 2 weeks? That was the hope. The MRI ended that hope. The results revealed something serious enough that the Dodgers were forced to make an immediate decision. Smith would not just miss a few games. Smith would be permanently removed from the lineup. This is not a day-to-day situation. This is not week-to-week. This is a significant, season-altering development that landed on the Dodgers front office desk like a thunderbolt. Imagine being in that clubhouse when the news spread. Imagine being Shohei Ohtani, sitting in that locker room, hearing that your starting catcher, the man you've been building chemistry with all season, is suddenly gone. Not traded. Not resting. Gone due to a neck injury serious enough to shut him down indefinitely. The Dodgers were left speechless. And honestly, that reaction makes complete sense. Because there is no easy replacement for what Will Smith brings. You cannot just open a drawer and pull out another Will Smith. This was a genuine crisis moment for one of baseball's most star-studded rosters. Here is where the Dodgers showed exactly why they are the Dodgers. Within hours, not days, hours, the front office was already moving. Phone calls were made. Deals were being structured. Because when you are a championship-caliber organization and a crisis hits, you do not sit and feel sorry for yourself. You act. The emergency trade was executed with the kind of speed that tells you everything about how seriously this organization took Smith's injury. Rushing was dealt in to fill the void, brought in specifically to stabilize the catching situation, while the Dodgers figure out their long-term plan. This is not a glamorous acquisition. Nobody is pretending this is a blockbuster headline trade that sends shockwaves through the league. This is a calculated, professional, necessary move by a front office that refused to let one injury derail an entire season. And that decision matters. Because the worst thing a contending team can do in a moment of crisis is panic, and make emotional decisions. The Dodgers did not panic. They assessed, they identified, they moved. Clean. Fast. Decisive. That is championship DNA. The trade sends a very clear message to every player inside that locker room: this organization will not let the ground fall beneath your feet. When something breaks, we fix it. Immediately. You are supported. You are protected. Now go play baseball. But the Dodgers weren't finished. 2 minor leaguers were promoted to the major league roster. And before you scroll past that detail, stop. Because this is actually one of the most fascinating parts of this entire story. Minor league call-ups in a crisis situation are never just roster filler. They are opportunity dressed in a uniform. For these 2 young players, this is the moment they have been working toward their entire lives. Every early morning session in the batting cages. Every bus ride between minor league cities. Every moment of doubt, every moment of grinding through failure, it all led to this phone call. You're going to the show. Think about what that means. Think about what it feels like to walk into Dodger Stadium, one of the most iconic venues in all of baseball, not as a visitor, not as a fan, but as a player. As a Los Angeles Dodger. And they are not walking into an easy situation. They are being called up in the middle of an injury crisis, surrounded by superstars, in a season where expectations are at the absolute maximum. There is no soft landing here. There is no, take your time and settle in. The moment they put that uniform on, they are expected to contribute. That pressure can either crush a young player, or it can reveal who they truly are. History is full of players who were called up in crisis moments, and used that pressure to launch careers nobody saw coming. The question for these 2 young men is simple: what kind of story do you want to tell? And through all of this, the return, the devastating MRI, the emergency trade, the call-ups, Shohei Ohtani is watching. Processing. Feeling the weight of all of it. Because Ohtani is not just a player on this team. He is this team. When something shakes the Dodgers, it shakes him. When something threatens the championship vision he came here to chase, he feels it personally. Losing Will Smith is not just a roster problem for Ohtani. It is a disruption to the entire rhythm he has been building. The catcher behind the plate affects everything: pitch selection, game management, the quiet communication that happens in the moments most fans never see. But here is what you need to understand about players like Ohtani. Adversity does not diminish them. It reveals them. The greatest players in baseball history are not defined by the seasons where everything went perfectly. They are defined by what they did when the walls started closing in. This Dodgers team has just been handed one of their biggest tests of the season. A starter gone. A roster reshuffled overnight. 2 rookies thrown into the fire. And a returning warrior in Edman trying to hold the heartbeat of this team together. This is not a simple injury update. This is not a routine transaction wire story. This is a defining moment in the Dodgers' 2025 season. How they respond to Will Smith's devastating MRI results, how rushing settles in behind the plate, how those 2 minor leaguers handle the pressure of the biggest stage, all of it will shape the next chapter of this team's story. And Edman's return? That might end up being the most important subplot of all. Because sometimes, in the middle of everything falling apart, the universe sends you exactly the player you need, exactly when you need him. The Dodgers needed a spark. Tommy Edman just walked through the door.